Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I'm so excited to have on a 39-year-old from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. His hockey journey has taken him to England and Wales. Research team couldn't find Canada. A staple of the Swindon Chill, Phoenix, Cougars, and Lynx. Played one season in the Sheds Honey Hole, Cardiff, Wales, and was a league challenge and KO Cup champion that season. But he is a legend with the Coventry Blaze, where he laced them up for 15 seasons, where he started by winning the BNL League and playoffs, then an EIHL Grand Slam in 04-05. Never thought the Blaze were ever that good. And that season had the most points and goals by an under-23 Brit. Then added one Challenge Cup, two KO Cups, one playoff, and 3 league titles. And his number 17 is retired by the Blaze. And he is still, for fun, been captaining and running amok of the NIHL with the Milton Keynes Lightning. But he is also a legend with Team GB, where he's a staple from 02 to 2017, where he's won a bronze, 4 silvers, and finished it off with a gold medal. Oh, and he's a doctor. Welcome to the shed, Dr. Russell Cowley.
Thanks, Wally. That was a long-winded intro, but thank you.
Well, you did all that shit, eh?
It makes me feel old.
One of the things I get into how we know each other, and I'll just bring this up now, is one of the reasons it popped into my head to have you on was Twitter was a buzz because an NIHL guy was not returning to the Milton Keynes Lightning. The fans were in a fuss because you're not going back to the Lightning.
Yeah, I've got some things I need to sort out in my personal life. I think that with my kids and stuff that's happened in the last sort of 18 months. I live in Worcester now, and my parents and my kids live with me. So gotta go with priorities, right?
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. They come first. Well, I get into how we know each other. We've never met. Nice to meet you.
We've met on the ice. That's about it.
We have.
You pulling dangles around me, putting it between your legs, and
you remember that move, do you?
Oh, I do.
By the time I
smack when I get back to the bench, it's like
by the time my career was coming to an end, my leg was so bad that was about the only move I had.
It worked.
Wait till you try to check it and then pull it through, right?
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, I had some coaches wouldn't let me do that move, but then Lord saw it and he was like, "That's a puck protection move. You're not being risky." And I was like, "You're right." They got to trip me to get it right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then you guys would score on the power play anyway.
Yeah. Well, we did have 2 units that season, but you guys, every game against the Blaze was just a battle, eh?
I think history brings that when
you guys weren't that good, but against us, you sure were.
I don't know what it was. I think there was just that rivalry that developed from the early days of sort of when the Elite League sort of started.
And probably geographically,
BNL,
right?
Seemed like possibly too, because it was close. A lot of Cardiff fans would travel to Coventry because it's a closer place, and
I think it's our closest game. Yeah.
So,
but yeah, those were battles, and your goalie always knocked the net off. He's a punk. Every time it was in your end, knocked the net off.
I have to say this. Playing for Coventry, that drove me nuts. Not the goalie, like it was most seasons. Any goalie, some were if they were strong on the post, it would knock them off. But we complained to the rink staff, like, you got to get some better pegs because it was frustrating.
I think Matt Caruth even mentioned it in the shed that like Coventry's pegs are embarrassing, and even for goalies to be saying it, maybe it's time to fix something, eh?
That's true, exactly right.
So the players are complaining about it, the goalies are complaining about it, perhaps. And there wouldn't be as many whistles if the net stayed on, right?
It's very true. It's very true. And this is the thing, right? Like playing for Coventry, obviously it frustrated you, especially if you had a goal scoring opportunity. But us playing there at home, the amount of times that it actually stopped us scoring a goal was insane, and that's why it frustrated us. So it helped when you guys were close to scoring.
Well, somebody was going to be pissed off. That's why you'd rather just stay on, right? Let's play the game.
As a player, if you're pinned in your own end, there's the odd time. Like obviously, I played D mostly on the back end of my career, but Geez, if you're getting running around, you wouldn't have to hit the post hard and the net comes off. I did that a couple times.
Yeah, I actually, speaking of that goalie, it brought back a memory just now. So I'm going to tell it because I just popped in my head. Playing in the
Hit
big
me.
blue tent. His name was Stewart, right? Big, tall, really good goalie.
Brian Stewart,
Brian
yeah.
Stewart. We were playing an exhibition game, and I had always done this in practice to goalies and stuff, but it went out to the slot for a one-timer on the power play, and I was on the goal line, and I went like I was going to the net, and I hit the top of his knob, so his stick flew up in the air, and right when I did it, the shot went 5-hole, and he lost his mind, and the
I bet
refs
he
didn't
did.
see it.
What a move.
It
See
was
that
awesome, but now they got
that's
video review and shit, right? So you can't even have fun.
I don't know if they call that back though
Well,
in the elite league. Would they have
it,
video for that?
I don't know because it was goalie interference for sure, but nobody saw it, so it counted, right?
That is one hell of a move. I've
It,
seen people do that on a shootout move,
That's the
like
it was
let
the
it
only
slide.
time I ever did it in a game, and it worked exactly what I did it with 5-hole. He went crazy, and I was like,
Oh, I
"Buddy,
know
it's
how
just an exhibition. Relax."
when he lost it, it was pretty funny, even when he was when you're on his team.
Okay, still getting into how we know each other. Another reason why I thought to have you on was you liked my tweet about getting to 100,000 plays, and for a dude just walking out to his shed to talk to hockey guys, to get to 100,000 plays from in Kincardine, Ontario, get a little choked up seeing that shit. So when you like that, I was like, huh, he sees what I'm doing.
It is. Oh, I've listened to a fair few of your podcasts actually, especially with guys that I've
I
played
know.
against or
Yeah.
with. Yeah, and it's awesome to listen to them. Really, brings
It's fun
memories
to do
back,
them.
and
Yeah.
I bet it is. Early morning coffee or an ale.
Yeah, well, there's not many things I get up at 6 a.m. to do on a Sunday, but it'd be a good boy Saturday night to do this Sunday morning. But I love this shit, and I like making memories with dudes that they have this forever, and then your kids someday can listen to it. That's why I do this. And to think
That's true.
100,000 plays later, I'm like, geez, I'm just having fun and trying to make memories with my buddies. But hey, that's cool, right? And
That's
65
impressive.
countries. So I'm allowed to be proud because it's a podcast, right?
That is impressive, actually. You probably started this and never thought that was going to happen.
I don't have a marketing team. I don't get paid. Really. I have a few times and that's really fun, but I just do it because I love it. And I know how I felt sitting at home, not talking about hockey. And I know how good it felt when I went on a couple podcasts to get to talk
Yeah,
about being that guy again. And I want to do that for all the dudes sitting around. But then I also like talking to the active guys and feeling like a part of it.
of course. It does bring back that, well, nostalgia, if you like, those feelings that we had, right, when people played. I mean, it's not likely that I will be playing, but I did retire for a year and got brought back by Ashley Tate. You probably remember Ashley Tate.
Oh yeah, he
I
was a
blame him
player.
for the Yeah, he was a hell of a player. I blame him for the reason I came back to start playing again. But yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, no, I just love it. But anyways, another reason I really knew your name other than battling the Blaze was the years I became a huge GB fan was 2014 to 16 when you guys got, I think it was 2 silvers in a row, but you were a staple on that team when I would be watching them writing my thesis.
Yeah, that
Eli
actually.
Jenkins, Cardiff Bay. Shout out to you guys. Thanks for the Masters.
Quick shout out,
Yeah, wrote my
quick
whole
shout out.
thesis in their
Um,
pub.
is that what you did it on?
I did it on the nuclear power plant here because my goal was to work there when I was done hockey. And then I did the
Smart.
whole thing on refurbishing the place and then never worked there.
Oh my! But that was smart at the time, I guess. Had you maybe you could have done it on. I guess if you went back, you'd do it on a podcast maybe now.
Oh, geez, maybe a social media, maybe so I can figure out
Yes.
what to do.
Yes. Yep. There's your data.
Anyways, moving on. You guys did win silver those 2 years, but then you ended up winning gold. So I'll get into your poster picks. Okay. You sent the picture of the gold medal winning team, and that must have been a day, huh?
Oh my, yeah, because I knew that was going to be my last going into it, and
And you'd been a
we
part of the
had
team since '02, and then
yeah.
that's
There's a couple of years pretty much. There's a couple of years I think I didn't go, but we'd gone 2 silvers in a row, and it was so disappointing because it was ours to lose, and especially the one where we lost to Ukraine, I think it was.
I
We
remember
shouldn't have,
watching
if you
it in
like.
Cardiff Bay in Eli
Oh,
Jenkins. I remember. I
yeah,
was watching it. It
yeah.
sucked. What was it, 2-1 or something?
It was their goalie played really well that game, and I think that was a difference maker for them. As did Bouncy anyway. Bouncy's been solid for God knows how many years for GB, and you look at them getting up. 2018 was it where they won
The year
second
after they
division?
win the next gold. Yeah.
That was, I mean, Bouncy was phenomenal that tournament. So
I really think it should
um,
be a Disney movie, folks. Just saying.
I've heard you say that before in a
Back
podcast,
to
and I
back
agree.
golds to get to the top level, a bunch of Brits that, like,
Yeah,
when I talk around and like you playing under 19, folks, just to hear of the competition these fellows have growing up. In your under 19 league, in 11 games played, you had 48 points. In the playoffs, you had 27 points in 9 games. I'm not saying that like that's really good, but that you guys can compete against the world with the minor hockey programs that you have is
yeah,
insane, and it should be a Disney movie.
I agree. And you've probably heard a few people say that junior in this, in the UK isn't the best of standards all around, and that's why you get a lot of players that go to Canada, go to Scandinavian countries or something like that to work on things. And I think a lot of it's to do with ice time. We had a good coach back in when I was in Swindon, Mark Beggs, and he still does stuff to do with hockey to this day. But he was a great coach. But we were on the ice 1 hour a week, and you're playing one game a week, like
That's not
you're not going to
enough.
improve.
No,
No way near
it's like
enough.
the kids I coach nowadays. If they're not hockey kids and they're not going home and practicing and working on things on their own, they're not going to
Yeah,
get better. Cause like we were practicing 50 minutes a week last season, right? And playing a game or two. That's not
of
enough to
course.
get better. If you're not doing it at home on your own because you love it, you know?
Of course, and yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. Is that all your lad has? He just has one practice a week,
Sure, last season, that's what it was. Like we
right?
don't have enough pads, so there was actually teams that had to share ice practice. Like they'd have half the ice and the other team would have half the ice.
Oh wow, because there's not enough.
There's just not enough ice in, yeah, like, but
Yeah,
it's weird, right? When you think about it, there's a lot of old timers teams, and then there's minor hockey, and then there's junior,
of course.
and like nobody can really use the ice until school and work's over, so it sits there all day, and then you only got a few
True,
hours to use it, right?
true.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, that sucks.
getting too deep, but yeah, like the kids on my team that like they were all into like they're hockey guys now, and I know they're at home practicing playing road hockey again, like it's the 90s, and they're getting better. Like I just saw them skate last week, and tell you, my boys are looking good for this season, even though I will probably rooting with them.
Nice.
But yeah,
How old's your eldest now? I remember him when you were in.
he's gonna be an under 11, so he's a 2012. You know,
Yeah, I used to take him on the ice all the time after games. I
that's
remember.
right. Yeah, I was the only guy
Maybe
on Cardiff with a
2
kid.
years
Yeah.
old. Was he
He
about two that at the time?
Yeah, about 2. He turned 3 while we were in Cardiff and started going to school. So yeah, 2
Okay.
and 3 those years. And yeah, what a blast taking your kid out on the ice. So poster pics, you sent the
Oh,
ones
for
of your
sure.
kids, eh? So how old are they? A boy and a girl. Same as me.
I did. Yeah, so my girl's 7 and my boy's 3, just turned 3 in July. So busy times.
That is
Yeah, they're
busy
great. My
times.
daughter, it is busy times. Alex being 3, you know what it's like. It's a little more hands-on as they get older. That obviously eases, but they're both really good kids, and I love them. Yeah, they're awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, my kids are getting to the age where, like you said, there's not as much like hands on. They're just doing their own thing and
Of course.
telling me what's up. You know?
I bet they go out in the morning in the school holidays, play all day, and then come back at dinner.
Oh, they always want to be with the friends now, right? Like they always
Yeah.
want it. They wake up and they're like, "Can I play with him? Can I play with her? Can I play with him?" And I'm like, "Oh, what about me? I'm right here." Okay. Next poster pic. Topless photo of yourself, just jacked.
That was I'm not a big person, like I'm not big built or anything like that, but we
That
had
was
to do like
like the picture of fitness right there. That's the way
we had, we
that's the way the human body is supposed to look, folks.
we we had we had these risky calendars. They did them for about 4 years, I think, and they raised some money for charity and stuff like that. So we had some fun with it. You can imagine behind the scenes, guys are doing some things to.
Did you get to have a beer too to loosen up?
Certainly. Yeah. I think some
When I
guys,
was in
some,
Germany, they had me get in a erotic photo shoot. Like it was, there were naked
oh,
women, but they
all or nothing.
never published the calendar because I guess a couple Frau's wives on the team just couldn't cope
Ooh.
with seeing the shower scene of their husband in the shower with like three naked women. So I guess they canceled the poster, but and what a day that was. And we got to have a couple drinks to loosen up too. So
Fun times. I think there was one guy who did it in a jock. I think he skated naked, just had a jock on, and then who was that? Might have been Tanaka, Kale Tanaka,
oh, I
maybe.
remember that guy, big slew footer.
Oh,
Loved to
was
slew
he?
foot. Oh, he loved to slew foot. He always
Oh,
had his
that's.
skates behind your heels.
I think that's why he annoyed everyone then.
Oh, he annoyed me. Yeah, I didn't like
Uh,
going near him because I didn't want to get slew
as did
footed.
Noble. Noble got under
Oh
his skin.
yeah, that guy. Is he? Do you like him? Is he your
He's
friend?
good. He's a good guy. He
Nah,
is.
I
I,
doubt it.
I can understand why guys don't like playing against him, and if they don't know him, they probably, he drives
Dude,
people
that
nuts.
when I fought him, what he did to Carl Hudson was one of the dirtiest plays I've ever watched. And I was right behind waiting for the drop pass. And I watch him literally slide over and get on his hands and knees and like made Carl do a full yard sale, full flip. Like I didn't know if his knees were still attached to his body anymore. And I was the closest one there. So I'm like, well, I have to do this because this guy's a
Yeah,
punk. Who
I
does that in the
remember this. Yeah.
EIHL? We're a bunch of grown men trying to like have fun still, win a couple trophies. Like none of us are retiring after, and you're going after his knees. I'm glad I got a blaze on today, Noble. I hope you're listening to this, you punk. Grow up.
Was that where we come on the ice like by our bench?
Yeah, and then Joey
I
Martin
remember
hit him in
that.
the face with a water bottle.
I remember. I remember that too. That game was nuts. It was
There's
nuts.
a
It was
few
fun.
nuts ones against you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
Oh,
a
dude.
game that big, huge defenseman you had was going after Doucette. He was gonna kill him. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Valabic, the big Boris,
Oh
right?
yes,
He was
yeah. He
huge.
was. Yes, he was. He
And
was a unit.
Hendo came off the bench to get involved, and nobody noticed it. He did get suspended.
That's right. I think who was it? Who was ref in that game? I think someone got off and he got on. Someone got off. He
As
got on.
soon
So
as
there
he
was some
saw the guy
fight.
going after Deuce, he came to protect him, and I don't think anybody changed. The play was over.
Uh,
But yeah, you got to do that, or
good
else us little
times.
fellas are gonna get killed.
That's true. That is very true.
Okay. Anyways, you were jacked for that poster, man. So you must. Is it just natural, or are you on a strict diet? What's going on here?
No, I'm lucky. I have
You're
a
one of
like.
those punks. I don't even want to hear it.
I've
Don't
put
even.
on some weight since then. I mean, geez,
Sure,
I'm
you have.
39 now,
I
so
can
I
see it.
have
You
put
have
on a little bit
not.
of weight.
Shut up.
Lost my hair, put on a little bit of weight. Just gets
Mm-hmm.
worse, Wally.
The picture of you playing as a kid, you're dressed as a Canuck, or is that a team?
No, that's right. So I grew up in Vancouver, born in Edmonton, but moved to Vancouver when I was 1, and I was there till 10 years old. So I used to go
Ah,
watch like that era, the
Pavel.
90s era, with the Canucks.
All right.
Yes, my favorite player.
Me
He
too. That's why
was.
I wore
Yeah.
number 10
Who
for
else was there? Like Courtnall and
Trevor Linden.
I did. Yeah. Captain. Who else was there? Gino Ojic.
Oh
Crowd
yeah,
loved him.
and he protected Bure, and they're like best
That's
buddies.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good times.
I wore number 10 for Bure and Brandon Dietrich, my hometown hero for the Sure Kings, that hopefully will come to my shed soon. You know?
Okay, not heard of him, but look forward to listening.
Yeah, he was the one that brought me to Germany.
Oh,
So
really? So was
yeah.
he a good coach? He was your coach?
No, he was an import forward on the first line, the
Okay.
centerman that needed a right winger, and they asked him if he knew anybody, and then they checked
Yeah.
me out, and then they wanted me, and it was because he said he wanted to play with me. So
Nice. Who
yeah,
wouldn't?
oh yeah. So no, we got to get him in the shed. It's about time. Anyways, next question then. So where and what are you doing now? So you
So I'm
may or
living.
may not be retired from hockey
Yeah, so I obviously played last year
and
in
ran a
young
muck.
teens, but it was yeah. I mean, we had a really good team. I enjoyed it. It's good fun. There's some really good players in the second league. The pace obviously isn't the same, and I think some of the smarts, but some of the individual skill is insanely good.
You had a shed
far
guy
more
on your
skill than I
team.
have.
You had a shed guy on your team, Liam Stewart.
Shuey, yeah, he's a beaut.
He is a
I
beauty. Hey,
actually,
he gets to
he is a,
live too, man. I've seen some of his Instagram posts. That guy's living. He was
yes,
just
he
like
is.
off the coast of Italy on a yacht. My
Yeah.
word, that looked fun.
If he goes any, like, honestly, his pace in life, he's that slow, he's almost going backwards. Like, he just has, which is a good way to be, right? Like, relax, super relaxed. He's a great teammate though. I actually was the one who got him in MK because he was in New Zealand at the time, and I messaged him when I was going there the first time, and I said, "What are you doing? Do you want to play in Milton Keynes?" And it ended up working out. And he's a good
Yeah.
player, obviously.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah. I never played against him, I don't think, but yeah, he seems like a
yeah,
great dude.
yeah, he
Um,
is. He's awesome.
don't be
Yeah.
tapping that table down there. I can hear that shit.
Am
Don't
I
do
am I
it.
tapping?
Don't tap it. Don't do it. Okay, I don't think I got any more gold medal posters. And I did say, Where, what are you doing now? Well, you're a
Oh, you
doctor.
did. You
You're a
did. So
doctor.
yeah,
A doctor of what?
so I studied, it was consumer behavior, but in the sport context. So I did my thesis around how sport fans behave. So yeah.
Is it like just in the
It-
UK or were you going global?
no, I had a mix in terms of I have to look at all the literature and theory on a global level. Even outside of sport, I had to look at
Because the
a
German
bunch.
fans act different than the British fans, and the British fans act
Yes,
different than the Canadian fans, and the Canadian fans act different than the American fans.
yes, they do. In a nutshell, there's so many different, if you like, variables that dictate the way anybody behaves in and out of sport. There's a bunch of things, whether it's our background, who
It,
we're with, the environment we're in at that time, a bunch of things.
so,
So
as a doctor, would you be able to figure out what I was thinking when I went back to Cardiff in 2019 and got topless in the crowd spray painted as a sport fan or whatever, as a doctor of sports fans?
so mine is less on the psychological component. So like the
Good, because you
internal
ain't
factor
figured it
is what
out.
you're thinking. Doesn't mean I can't figure out what you're doing though, Wally, because I do know. But
I just wanted everybody to remember hockey's supposed to be fun, you know?
then you brought the funness.
Well, stop being so stressed out. It's a game, you know? They say go to work. They say play hockey, you know?
Do you know who I think you could be? Definitely. Now you finished hockey. The guy that they had that goes in the NHL rinks. They had him to the Elite League Finals. I remember.
Cameron Cheers or whatever. Yeah,
Yes,
that
could
guy
def-
came to Cardiff. He's got a high motor. He was really giving her. I'm
I
not
think you
that
could do
guy.
that.
That's not me. No,
Yes, it is.
no,
I
it's
think
not.
so.
I could do
Look
that.
what you did on that
I
night,
did. I
Wally.
did it once. I'm only doing it once. I'm a podcaster.
There's going to be another showing,
No,
surely.
no, I wouldn't be topless in the crowd. Maybe take my kids and then, be the dad guy, Can't be topless like that.
You're going to get your kids involved, aren't you?
No, no, I'm way more grown up nowadays. It is funny how we never grow up. We just get older though. At least
That is
some of
true.
us, right?
That is true. We're
We
all
just
big
can't
kids.
do some things anymore because we're older now and it doesn't make sense anymore.
We have to hide the things that we do as kids.
So doctor then. So it's of consumer whatever.
It was consumer behavior. So I
So
did,
you do
yeah,
your master's
basically,
and then you got to do more school after that.
yeah, it took me 4 years whilst I was playing. So I graduated my PhD in 2018. So between 14 and 18, I was doing my PhD while playing, which,
And you had already had your master's before that?
yeah, so I studied with two
Holy
other
shit,
guys.
man. That's
Yeah.
a lot of school.
Yeah. What have I done? Seven years of university. Yeah. I don't know why.
Who's paying for that?
No, so I did it through the hockey. But the PhD
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. The PhD was done on a studentship. So I was teaching while playing from 2018 to 14. So I used to teach whilst the season was going on, but only kind of maybe 6 hours a week. And
You
then
know
that
what?
position
I
came
get
up.
some impressive people in my shed. I do. God, that's cool. So you were teaching what?
Here's one for you
University?
though. Yeah, so I was teaching like undergrad sport management and event management students. Yeah.
You're
I've actually
teaching
taught some
undergrad.
teammates in the past too. I
Really?
taught teammates in the past, yeah, but they were doing their masters in sport management. Yeah,
That's really
That was fun
cool.
for them.
That's
Not
really
so much
cool.
for me. I just used to pick on them in the class. I used to take all the questions to them. So what do you think about this? Or what do you
Oh
think
yeah,
about
you'd
this?
make
Because
sure
if
they're
I didn't come to
engaged,
them,
eh? Yeah.
they were coming to me if I wasn't coming to them. So I had to, to
Oh, I
go to
could
them first.
imagine. Yeah, you would have kept them engaged and you would have been pissing them off because you'd make sure they're paying attention all the time. And
Absolutely.
uh,
Absolutely.
one guy I know that did the MBA there was my former teammate in Syracuse. Is that absolute beauty, Steven Gertson?
Steve, oh, Gertz, what a guy.
Great guy.
Awesome. Yeah. He was there the year we won. That was the last trophy I ended up winning with Coventry, and what a playoffs that was. I think we
I
might
was
have
there
played.
the season he met his wife in Syracuse, New York.
Gotcha. Yeah, great family.
Yeah,
And he's ultimate teammate, really.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, he was a big part of the reason we had success that year.
One of
Great
those
leader.
guys that just does it all, eh? He was
Yeah,
even fighting back in the day. He was mucking it up. He could score
yeah.
a bit. He could play penalty kill. He could play power play.
Tree trunk legs.
Yeah, yeah. Decent
Yeah,
looking fella too, eh?
yeah,
Had
yeah,
it all.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Anyways, another guy that was on the team 2014-15, I got to ask about because he came over very briefly and then had some issues and had to go, but was Trevor Frischman, Bruce, Shed guy.
I play with Frischman?
He only
Was I
came
there
for
that?
like a game or two. Maybe it was that year, 2014-15, I think. But anyways, he came. He had some issues
Okay, and you
after a
know
game or two and had to leave. I remember it because he was my buddy and I saw him after the game and we
course.
chatted. But I think he only played like one exhibition game for you or one regular
Yeah,
season and then
no, I
left.
do. I can't picture him and like what he
Yeah.
looks like, the name. I
We were
do.
rookies
I
together in
do.
Dayton. That's why I bring him up. But yeah, he had some health issues, then had to head home. But
Oh,
he's all good now.
that's good to hear. Good to hear.
Okay. So what else do I got? So you don't know if you're playing. You're with the kids. You just went on a vacation. You just got
I
back.
did.
You just
I,
finished making pancakes. Did you put chocolate chips in them or berries? Or are you going straight up
no,
pancakes?
so I make the crepes. My daughter likes the crepes, the thinner ones.
Crepes. Oh, baby.
So
Yeah.
yeah, crepes. You pronounce it crepes, crepes.
Crepes doesn't sound as good as crepes, man.
Crepe and a cigar, smoking a pancake. So
Oh,
Nutella. She likes Nutella in there.
who doesn't?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Do you
Of
slip in a
course.
banana every once in a while? Slice it
I
up.
do, but she doesn't. I do,
Really?
but she likes
Wow.
peanut butter and
What?
banana, but not Nutella.
What about the strawberry with the Nutella? You know, the
That
Germans
is
are
good
onto
too.
something with that Nutella. So Canadians peanut butter is Germans Nutella. Germans
That's
are eating
correct.
up Nutella like crazy.
Yes. So
Canadians love
you
the
ate.
peanut butter, but you can't take it to any schools or near any children.
It sounds like your time in Germany was all about the food.
It really was. Yeah. I tried to score lots and eat lots.
And vice beer.
And no, first year the team banned me from Vice beer.
Did they?
Yeah, they said that it's not good for my physique. They said if I was going to drink, I had to drink red wine.
But if you're scoring goals, should they not say like you can drink this as much you want
Well,
if you're
that's
just
actually when I
carrying on scoring
realized I
goals?
kind of like fit in was after the year in Syracuse State and I went to Germany and I went late. The season was already going and did the bike test. And what it was every minute it gets harder or whatever, and they test your blood. And it basically said that that the test said that I wasn't in that good a shape, but that I recover really fast. So basically they said, it basically said you're fat, but you could get away with it. And I'm like, I'm home. Finally, somebody gets me.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Anyways, so then I got to get into this. So you were born in Edmonton.
Yes, parents are both English. They just moved when they were in their 20s, and I was born there with my brother, sister, and lived there till I was 10. Back to the UK for 4 years, and then when I was 14, 13, went back for 2 years before coming back again. So back
Okay.
and forth a few times.
What were they
Yeah.
doing over
Second
there?
time was my dad worked for a company. He basically was a sales and marketing engineer for some of the pulp mills to start with. So he used to drive around the interior in BC and into Alberta. Then he worked for Siemens So he's basically an engineer, so to speak. So that took him
Mhm.
over.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I was curious when I saw it said Edmonton, but then I saw the Canucks outfit as a kid, and then it said you're
Yeah.
playing in Swindon.
I'm all
research team can't always put the puzzle together.
yeah, I'm all over a bit of a suitcase. I'm all over the place.
Mm.
I
So
will say the second. Go
I
ahead.
can't before I move on though, I wanted to ask what a normal day of a doctor is. So you're teaching university students most days now?
Yeah, so my current role, I lead a subject group area. It's called Leisure Economy. So it's got 5 different degree programs. So I oversee those. I direct one of those programs as well. So that takes a lot of my time. So I tend to teach maybe 6 hours a week on the sport management side. We have a
Okay.
master's and an undergrad. And
Jeepers.
then yeah, other than that, daddy duties, and I tend to
Yeah.
have to work and make up hours in the evening.
Busy
Not
enough, eh?
always fun.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Uh,
Weekends, evenings, laptop comes out, but such is life.
so then you grow up then playing minor hockey in Canada basically until 13.
It's correct. So I played my last hockey in Canada was midget level. So I played in Surrey. I played AAA and then came back and was obviously playing for the junior team in Swindon.
Right.
So
So and then yeah, the under 19 team. Who are you playing when you're scoring 48 points in 11 games? Who's the Swindon Cougars playing against? You guys go to Cardiff and play them and the other towns or what?
yeah, like, I would have played against like Matt Myers and stuff like that. He played for Cardiff at the time in the 16s. Yeah.
I was
Um,
wondering who's
so it's crazy when
83s. Like who else is 83s around Britain? Because I'm an 83, you're an 83. I know the
yeah,
83s in North America from growing up around them. But
yeah.
I never knew the Brits. Like there's not many 83s, is there?
I know of people that are maybe 1 or 2 year either side. So like
Right.
just a year or two older would be like Jonathan Phillips, Clark, Shields, guys like that.
And then Myers
And then
is
a
a year
little bit
younger.
younger. He's a year younger than me, I think, Mizey. And then you've got like Dowd, who's I think about 2 or 3 years younger than me, and people like that. That you
Yeah.
know those names, but like you said, they're kind of either side of the 83.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you always know your age groups growing up, right? It's like my kid will know the kids his age growing up, right? That's who you're
that's
always
true.
competing with. But
Yeah, of course.
okay, so then Swindon, you break into what's the EPIHL is like pro, right? And you're doing that
It
in
was the
2000.
Yeah, so that was the third level at the time. They had the Super League BNL and then the EPIHL. So I played a year with them and also the junior system, and then the next year I signed a two-way between Swindon and Coventry in the BNL, which was
And
the second league at that time.
the Swindon team switched from the Phoenix to the Lynx. Why? Do you know why?
Yeah, that was to do with I think who the previous owners were and money and the rights to the name.
They
The
went
new
tits
owners had
up,
to take a
probably.
different name,
Yeah.
something like that.
Um, so okay, but you were playing for Team Great Britain. You started in under 18s, right? So you played under
Yes.
18s twice. Any good ever?
You know what? We were third division at the time.
And we just talked
Some
about
of the
how we don't
teams
know
we
any
played
other
against were good, and then
83s. So
although I do remember on that team, it would have been like I remember Danny Myers, Matt Myers, Tawalski, people
who?
like that at the time. You might not remember some of the guys you wouldn't have played against
No.
or never played.
There's probably a lot of guys in that
I want
league
to say
below that I never played against that are really good players that just aren't in the EIHL, right?
yeah, there's some that could definitely make the jump, but some of them have jobs and they find that for them to lose the income of their job and then try and make it in the elite league is not something they want to do. And I guess that's a personal choice, but
Ah, it makes sense.
some of
Yeah.
the players could, without a
Yeah,
doubt.
for
Yeah.
sure. Well, you did do under 23 times, and the last year of under 20, the World Juniors, you had 14 points in 5 games. That's running amok and won the silver medal.
Yeah, again, that was one of the games I think where in hindsight we probably should have won the gold in that one, but there was a couple of weak teams in that tournament, so
Was it a round
scoring was high.
robin?
Yes. You play like, I think it's 5 or 6 games and that's it. It's
That's
not like the top
baloney,
league.
isn't it? Why wouldn't you play a final game? Like that makes
It's
no
terrible.
sense.
It's terrible. But I suppose I wonder if it comes down to money, that they've got to keep the teams there longer. The tournament goes longer, which costs more money. I wonder if it's down to money.
Then sure they
So
could figure it out how to play less games and then
I
have a
agree.
playoffs.
Because it's brutal. Like it's like a
Why
small
wouldn't you
mini
have
league.
2 teams play to see who moves on instead of like, oh, well, we beat them and you beat them, but you tied them. Oh,
I
okay.
agree. Totally makes sense. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, cool. So okay, so we beat them 3-1 and they lost to them 2-1. So then we, like,
Yeah. You could
nah,
beat the team that's won goal. You could beat the team that's won gold, but then lose to somebody else.
right. And we're talking, this
uh,
is for gold medals, folks. Have a playoff game.
exactly.
Grow up.
Yeah.
So did you go anywhere cool in that though? Like you would have gone to some other countries.
Oh, geez, loads. I've been to Netherlands a few times, Lithuania, Estonia. Geez, where else? Belgium, Austria. Jesus, where else?
You're naming a
France.
couple real shed enthusiast countries there. Belgium,
There's some,
we were just
there's
ranked
some that are
third
more.
in Belgium. So cheers, guys, in Belgium. Yeah.
There was some real nice places though, Wally. I will say that. Some other places are a little suspect.
Piglet, you know him in Cardiff, Pigs.
Yes.
Luke Piggott, he raved of Estonia. I remember when he went on a bachelor party to Estonia and then met us in France for the ski trip that but he raved of Estonia and what a place it is. I never made it there.
I did. I was under 18 though, so I might not have seen all the sites that he did, but we still had a good time.
Being a
We ran
hockey player in cities, you don't get to do what like people think it's cool to go see cities unless you get a day off. You get to see the hotel and the rink and the airport,
exactly.
right?
Exactly right. So
Yeah.
it was, I mean, behind the scenes when you're that age as well, when you're 16, 17, you can imagine some of the stuff that goes on in the hotel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we've been banned from a couple of hotels here and there.
I understand.
Just like Sheffield, right? For you
That's
guys.
right. I got, yeah. It wasn't just me. It was a collective effort getting us kicked out of that hotel. It wasn't just me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard Luke Piggott was a real issue that too. So
I'm trying to think because I didn't play GB with Pigsy, so I want to say Pigsy's like three years younger than me. What do you remember what year he is?
I think he's an 84 if you're putting me on the spot.
Okay. I think he might even be one more.
He
Because I
took
would
like a bit of a break from like real high-end hockey while he was getting his PhD, right?
or at the time I know he went abroad, so it might have been abroad at that time. And that's why he didn't play GB possibly.
Well, I have no idea. Okay. I better keep going though, right? The second year
Absolutely.
though in the EPIHL, you did better. You put up some numbers, right?
Yeah, I remember I played
Actually, the
with
first year when you're in the EPIHL, you had a point a game. So I have a question. Research team saw it, says you play defense and forward.
that's right. I made the switch. I signed basically there was one year and I'm trying to think when it was. We were in Slovenia that year. And there was
You
a
were a
lot.
defenseman usually though, right?
I was when you would have come over. So the last 4 or 5 years, 90% of the games I played on D. I
Right.
signed as a forward most years. I signed as a forward,
And then they
but
needed a D.
we lose a D to a long-term injury, which happened every year. Right away, I was playing the back end. So, and I didn't mind it. It was what it was.
Yeah, the research team kind of figuring out that probably there were some years you were forward and some years you were D because there's a stretch for 3 seasons where you're getting 40 to 50 something points a year. You're probably a forward those years, eh?
Yeah, I was a forward for sure. I wasn't getting those points as a team man. But I played higher up on those years, so I was playing in like points. I didn't play any power play, so that was just 5-on-5.
The 53 points in 50 games is no power play?
No, none. Yeah, I couldn't get on. I at the time we had Tomo was the
Those
coach,
flipping imports, eh? What a bunch of punks.
but it is what it is. You know, if someone's there and they're doing the job, great. But I mean, how many would you say point wise, if you're playing the power play, you can add another 15 probably.
You would think so. Well, at least that's how you get points. Like 5 on
Yeah.
5's like, yeah, I don't know. That's
There was less import. There was less imports then. There wasn't 14. I think.
but
It's
you were
12.
like top 5 on the team in scoring, so you think you're at least on one of the 2 power plays.
Yeah, you'd think so. I don't know what I could have done that year to get on it, but never happened.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So then you'd rather be a forward or a D? What's natural to
Forward,
you? Yeah.
forward. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a two-way guy. I'm not like out and out offense, obviously, at all. I used to be able to help chip in, but generally I was, especially in the later part of the career, if I played forward, it was more I would try and shut down one of the top lines. Hence why I ended up playing against you a lot and
So were
watched you
you a
put in the.
centerman?
Yes,
The last few years in the NIHL, you're playing center and matching
that's
up
right.
against other
Yeah.
teams' top lines and then still running amok.
Well, not so much in that league. No, I wasn't shutting down in that league. It's a different story. Like I would just
You're
play the
going out to
top six,
score. Yeah.
play with the top six against top six kind of thing. Because
Right.
the level's not quite as high.
So the top 6 for each team is kind of their honey hole probably in that league.
Yeah. Oh,
Get,
yeah.
get past that. Yeah. Anyways, when you're in under 20, you're 19 years old, you make the men's team for the first time. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and McSorley was the coach, and he was
That's young.
He was a scary man.
Not Marty. It's his brother, right?
Chris
Chris.
McSorley. Yeah, he was a scary man. I remember there was the first practice, and there was a 2-on-1, and I in practice, and I wanted to and I think I might have been the youngest guy on the team at that time. And I went to make a pass because the D man went to step up on a 2-on-1, so the guy would have been on breakaway. And the puck bobbled as I went to pass it.
Yeah.
So it didn't get there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, he blows the practice, skates the full length of the ice. He said, Cowley, if you're the best Britain's got, we're fucked. And this is one of my first practices. I'm like, okay, Mr. McSorley, like, well, I feel good about myself now. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, coaching used to be quite different than it is now, right? And I find it interesting that GB was, I probably flying him over from wherever to coach you guys, right? Now they have a British coach that's running amok now he's coaching the DEL, right?
Yeah, Pete's doing an unbelievable job. When Tomo took over at first, Thompson, and he brought a bunch of different sort of the management team and a couple of coaches with him. And from that point on, it kind of developed. Andy Buxton's been the team manager, and he's still in that place now. And then Pete obviously took over when Tomo wanted to step down. And it's since that point, I think GB's grown. It's more professional. Honestly, the best thing about it is the group of guys that you go away with. It's unbelievable because you get a per diem and that's it. Like you just love being there. And it's honestly,
playing hockey for the love, right? It's not
yes.
playing to make money. It's to be doing it for your country. And you're not really making any money, but you're playing for Team Great Britain. And those boys on that team, like, I don't know how many shed guys I've had on from Team GB, but like, they're the best teammates around are the Brits. I mean,
it's the best. Honestly, like every year you look forward to it. You want to be a part of it. As the years went on, there was more competition, which was good. And honestly, like it was almost like not being like cliche, but it was like more of a family brotherhood type thing as opposed to what you have every year where players come and go. With the GB team, it was just different. And we were playing against nations like, look, you've seen it, you've watched it, even when it was sort of the second.
You lost to Lithuania, not Ukraine.
Oh, 1 year was Lithuania, the other year was Ukraine. So those 2 years were when we won silver, both those teams. And we shouldn't have, but that's the way she goes.
I understand that shit happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is like you talk about Mizey, Jono, like Richie, like those guys have been the leadership core of that team for I don't know how long, and like
long time.
What a crew, right? Like
it's the best. I mean, I live with Richie in Cardiff because his brother is one of my best friends. He's godparent to my daughter, him and his wife. I'm godparent to one of his. Small world. So I live with both Richardsons in Cardiff. So I've known Mark for years since we were in Swindon. So yeah, I mean, Richie's one of the best British D-men that's played this game. I'm not sure you'll find a nicer guy than him. and you can do it
He's,
all, and you can
he's
do it
I
perfect
know.
human.
I know. Don't get me going about that guy again. You know, it like, yeah, is watching him play. Like, he's figured out he studies the position. I was watching him in the World Championships. He studies it. His routes and on the PK, like for how much he has to play, he was conserving energy, but always in the right position. Because when I was playing with him, I never really watched him because I hate video and I was playing and I had to worry about my own shit. But now that I can watch Team GB play and
Yeah.
I can actually sit there and watch Richie play, and when you watch him on the PK and you watch him in the D zone, every movement he makes is for a purpose. He is not wasting
Yes.
any energy doing anything he doesn't need to be doing, and he's always in the right spot. And then he's willing to just eat one for the boys.
He does, and he never seems to get it in the wrong place.
Well, we better knock on wood, but I don't get it. He just goes down on one knee and like say, "Here's my ear, here's my head."
Or
Shoot.
my hand. I've seen a ton of guys break hands dropping the one knee, the hands down there. I'm like, oh no.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, the guy just keeps playing and keeps doing the exact same thing. And
I
you know,
I think he could go to 45, 50 for sure.
and I think you could too after that poster pick. My word, that's a body
I
type.
don't know. I feel like I'm 60,
Well,
not 39.
it is a grind after a while, eh? So what did you have you had any big injuries throughout your time?
I have, yeah. Dislocated both the AC joints. I had surgery
Shoulders.
on my MCL.
Oh,
MCL, that was the worst. I was out 3.5 months. It ripped off the second game of the year.
I thought
Second
MCL
game.
was the one they don't usually do surgery on.
It was only because it ripped right off. So the MCL stayed intact. It just ripped off the bone. So all they had to do was get a screw, put the screw in. I've still got the screw in now, but that was the summer.
Oh, it's making
I
my knee hurt just talking about this, actually. Ah.
and this honestly, you obviously did your knee. How bad was your leg? Like the muscle that you lost within like 2, 3 weeks, just
Oh
gone.
yeah. Yeah. It looked like a 6-year-old
Oh,
girl's arm.
that's what my leg went like. I was like, oh my goodness, and that's what delays coming back.
I
Like the
had
knee
I,
was.
I had ticklish feet and I had to wear that leg thing on my leg for 3 months,
Oof.
and we were freshly married, and then they're like, you're gonna have to like clean his toes because he can't wash his leg for 3 months. And she couldn't I couldn't let her clean my toes because my feet were too ticklish. So I ended up having mold growing on my toes.
Oh my goodness, no
What?
way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we tried to clean the toes, but I was gonna get injured because I'm ticklish.
But would you not take the tickling above
The
the
mold.
mold?
Well, it was. I don't know.
Oh, I think I'd take tickle
We
every
did
day.
get it off, folks. The mold wasn't there long. We got it off, just like the spray painted card.
Athlete's foot. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. So, hurting knees and injuries suck, eh? Because then you don't even get to
Yes.
be part of the team. You don't go on road trips. You don't play games, and you just watch all the other guys like having fun and winning games and scoring points, and and then you're just standing there in your suit, like God.
It does. It's brutal.
Oh,
There's nothing worse than watching your own team either. I don't mind watching hockey, but I hate watching my own team, like, or
when you're
the team.
not out there with the boys, it's the
Yeah,
worst.
yeah, definitely.
Worst. Yeah. When I first got hurt in Cardiff, that first month where I had to watch them still play was the hardest time ever. Till I got into pregame
Yeah.
speaking, and then I had like a purpose.
You built your CV up though. You gave tickets away at a lower cost than you should have. If I remember rightly, you said that on the
I did.
podcast.
Yeah. Well, Todd and I were selling tickets, and I didn't realize there were so many different tickets. So I was just selling them.
Why are we not making as much money? That's me. Sorry, Todd.
What's a concession? What? Anywho, so then you go to Coventry. We're in Coventry now, right? We got to go there now.
Yep.
So you start in the BNL, and then it
Yeah,
becomes the EIHL 2 years in, right?
that's right. So the Super League was the top league at the time of the BNL. That folded, and that was the birth of the EIHL.
When's the
0304
Sky Dome
season.
start?
That was built in 2000, the millennium. Like I think it was 99, 2000.
So
So
just
Coventry had no fans to start with. I remember when my first year was the second year that the team had been going, and they were only getting like 500 fans because it was just new to the city. There was no
Mhm.
arena there, no rink. No one knew about what hockey was.
Think about how big
Um,
we could make British hockey in another decade, right?
it could be. I mean,
It
it was, and it might still be. It was the highest, highest, highest viewership, if you like, live for indoor sports. I think it something like 5 years ago, and it still might be.
well, I just think there's got to be some kids that
Team sport, that is team
there's
sport, I
got
should
to
say.
be some kids now watching Team GB in the World Championships that are like, holy shit, look at what we could do as kids.
Yeah,
Where the Josh Batches and the boys of GB nowadays saw the Mighty Ducks to get into it. Now
that's
these
right.
kids are watching real British guys in the World Championships. And it's like, how many kids are going to be inspired to play hockey? Everybody should probably get them into it over there, right?
Well, or you could make Miracle 2.0, as you said, based off the GB team,
And
and
that
you never know
how
what's
many
going to
kids will get that into hockey, right? Yeah.
it just doesn't get enough mainstream media. Like it was in the media on a level, and I know that the guys that do the media for the GB team do a really good job, but it needs that constant exposure and more of it. And the problem is, until that happens, what will need to happen as well is obviously it's the barriers of participation, which is there's not enough facilities and it's an expensive game to play.
Mhm.
So that's essentially what needs to be overcome. But how many teams are in the elite league? If
Well,
you don't
think
live
about
in
how
near
many
any of those teams,
people you guys have on that island, and how expensive real estate would be. It's not like you guys are going to be building new rinks all the time, right?
no,
So
no,
no.
no, no. I'm not sure they build the rinks the best way either when they do build new ones, with hockey in mind, that is.
Cardiff.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice 5 feet of walkway in front from the fans to the glass. But that BBT was wild when we get the Blaze in town, and then that
Yes, it
Noble would
was.
be out there and Boris bunch, you know.
That was my year in Cardiff when it was built. We had it at Christmas time. The rink was built at Christmas time, and it was jammed to start with.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Oh,
jammed.
so the brand new one, eh? So I would have been
The
doing.
no, the tent was went up the year I was in Cardiff.
Oh, really? You were the
Yeah,
inaugural season of the tent.
I was, and I loved it as a home rink. And then when you're playing as the away team, oh man,
What a
no one likes
nightmare, eh?
jump. No one likes going there.
No, and there's
But
people right up at the glass, right? That's a big thing. People right up at the glass, right in your business.
yeah,
Like made the atmosphere so great that you'd get five
oh, it
deep
was the
right at the
best.
glass. Yeah.
It was the best. And you know what, Molly, like the old rink that was where the John Lewis is, like obviously I didn't play there for Cardiff, but man, like the atmosphere in that place, it was insane. The same thing. And it was, you know what, the fans in Cardiff are unreal. I mean, I love my time in Cardiff, but they used to make it so loud, and it just used to G up Cardiff if they were on the back foot or losing foot. Like they just changed momentum like that with the
Yeah, well,
noise.
and the fans could do it in the BBT. If we'd have one shift where we were like on the other team and then the fans got into it, it would just be like one line would go and then the next line would go and then we'd just be
Yeah,
all over them. And it was the fans would spur you on, and then you'd be trying
yeah,
to throw way bigger body checks and you'd be mucking it up way harder just because the fans were going, right?
yeah. Was it the year that when you were in Cardiff that we were up in the Challenge Cup, and then you guys, it wasn't the final, but it was one of like the quarter semis, and then you guys brought it back and beat us. Am I
Ah,
thinking of the right year?
could be. I,
I
I
just
don't.
remember. I don't know if it was that
I
year,
don't
but we were up.
remember I remember the final against Sheffield. And if I'm being quite honest, I don't remember anything else about the Challenge Cup.
Okay.
So it
It
very
might
well
not,
could
yeah.
have happened, but I don't know if we came back by that much to win it, if that's true.
There was one year where I think we won 3-0, and then the second leg, like Cardiff just came wave after wave. And it was like
That
one
sounds
went in.
somewhat realistic, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know
can't
anymore.
remember what year. I've got bad memory.
Sometimes the memories get flood back when I start talking about stuff, and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, too
I don't
true.
remember the semifinals. I remember the finals and beating Sheffield. Okay. But anyway, so the BNL then becomes the EIHL, so that'd be a big step up for the fellas, right?
It was big step up, pace went up. That first year was the year before the lockout because it changed massively the next year.
How
There
many
was
imports were in the BNL then? If there's this elite
eight,
super league, oh, there was 8.
there
That's
was 8.
enough.
I know there was, and that's where I think when you look at, if I'm honest, if you look at like that era of the 80s, the early 80 birth years, in and around that era, the BNL helped, I think, a lot of players to play in key situations that when we got to the GB team, and
You're ready and you've played those positions, because I find it
definitely,
interesting, right? There's a lot of Brits that like what Brits running the half wall, right? And then you get to
yeah,
the world championships and you're like, okay, somebody's running the half wall. And you're like, well, who's done it this year?
yeah, exactly. For me as well, my role with GB as either if I played obviously D a little bit, but if I played as a forward, I generally played with someone like Jonna. Like we both skated well, so we kind of try and line us up against a top teams, top line to try and shut them down, and then let our top 6 get to work when they are out there.
Yeah, makes sense.
So yeah.
So was Jono's toes getting bad when you played with him?
Do you know what? I don't have the same. I have the same as him, but mine isn't like his. So
On your toes or your?
basically, so I have one nail missing on my big toe, like he does. So when I had to have surgery. So you've probably seen it. Hockey players get the bone spurs on their heel,
Yes,
and
the heels, the
bone.
heels. Yes.
So what that is when you damage the top layer of bone can grow out. So
Yeah.
I damaged underneath my nail on my big toe when I was like 18. Don't know how I did it. It started pushing my nail off and it broke my nail bed. So I went to a specialist and he's like, you've damaged 80% of your nail bed, so I can leave 20% of your nail on there. I'm like, no, just take the whole thing off. So I haven't had a nail since I was 18. But mine doesn't grow any bigger. His keeps growing, so he probably needs surgery. That's why it keeps growing. It's the bones.
Well, I remember my rookie year, there was a guy with the ones on the heel, and it wasn't just one foot, it was both, and they looked like golf balls. And I'm like, how do you get that into a skate?
They punch them, don't they? They have a special punch that
they have the puncher too, but like to wear running shoes, to wear anything, man, like you're pretty much a flip-flop guy from that on.
And it's painful too. It can be painful in a skate.
Oh, glad that didn't happen to me.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So anyways, I don't know how we got onto that, but yeah, fun talks. I love this shit. One of my questions was, why the hell did you play for Coventry so long? But I know why. School.
Well, I went back.
You could tell me different, but research team sees this.
No, that's
what
right.
School are you? What school are you teaching at? The one that the guys do the MBA at, right?
As in now?
Yeah. Or
do you know I work at a Birmingham City University now? I don't work in Coventry anymore.
But before you did, right? And then
I did. I was teaching at Coventry University. Yeah.
And that's the one you did all your schooling at.
Well, yes, the reason because Cardiff offered me to come back. It was Jared Adams that was a coach, and he offered me the MBA, but it was 2 years, whereas it was one in Coventry.
Because they were going to Cardiff University, not the Met.
I don't know. Is that what it was back then?
Cardiff University was the school, and then myself, Tyson Marsh, and Andrew Hawthorne were the first guys to go to Cardiff Metropolitan.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which is 1 year.
Which is 1 year, exactly.
Can muck it up in 1 year real quick, fellas, if you want.
I went for the 1 year.
No kidding. So that's what happened with myself at Sheffield when I was first looking at it, and we had brief talks. Was their MBA was 2 years and Cardiff's was 1.
Was a decision maker for you.
It sure was. I don't want to do school for 2 years. I don't want to do it for 7 like you either.
I don't know. I wasn't planning on it, Wally. I wasn't planning on going to uni. I'm not kidding. University was not on my radar.
And now you're a doctor?
I don't know how that happened.
It happens.
It's like when you shoot, just close my eyes and hope it goes in.
Yeah, right. I saw some of your numbers. You just got to get the chance. Okay, 2004-05. Let's get on track here. You got a lot of shit to cover still. You got a lot of notes. 04-05, you guys win a Grand Slam for the Coventry Blaze.
was a good year. Good fun.
So when you guys
we were
win the Grand
stacked.
Slam, please tell me the dude on skates with the dress pants or whatever he does, skating around with the microphone was not happening, because that was some embarrassing stuff before the game.
You mean
Remember,
JD? JD.
whatever his name
He's the
is.
he's the radio
He
guy. He's
does
awesome.
he
He's
doesn't really
awesome.
get the place a buzz. Are you kidding me?
I think he does, man. I'm telling you, he's been involved a lot of years. And
I
when we were winning
understand he's been
trophies and stuff,
involved a lot of years, and I know he tries really hard. I'm just saying there's other
doesn't
options.
skate the best, but he's the best. He is a good guy. He's
Good
awesome.
guy. No, I'm sure he is. I'm just saying, like it's kind of funny as an away player to watch that guy buzz around, right? I'm having a chuckle. I'm like, what is going on here? Like,
So instead of listening to Lordo, you're probably watching the halftime show.
well,
Lordo,
sometimes I just got to get out of the room to breathe, you know.
oh, I got you. I got you.
I don't really remember it that much. I just remember guys skating around not well with a microphone trying to get the place a frenzy, right? Am I wrong? Is that not what he does?
I think he used to. So that didn't start to the later part, if I remember rightly. There was a bunch of other things they used to do with chuck a puck. They used to do the zorbing. I think they used to get like zorb going. People playing football and running into each other. They changed it up, but
yeah,
I never used to watch it, man.
I just remember right before the game would start, I thought he would come out and like get the crowd going. I was like, holy moly, this is something. But maybe, I don't know. I'm sure he's a great guy. Love to chat someday. But anyways, 0405 Grand Slam. I will. I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Sorry for being negative about what you're doing. I'm sure you're trying hard.
Hey, that's all right. You can.
I'm sure he can take it, right? If he can get out there on those wheels, he's not worried about what everybody's thinking. Okay, 0405 Grand Slam. Couple guys that you had on the team. Adam Calder. This guy seems to have been on your team like the whole time, and I'm pretty sure is an absolute legend there. And did he not pass? Like that was around when I was over there, just after. I think.
God rest his soul, but yeah, he passed. He obviously had cancer, and I think it was caught at the age I am now. I think he was about 38 at the time when he found out. But what a player he was. He was. I think that might have been his first year with the Blaze, and he just lit it up. I think he had something like 150 penalty minutes too, because he didn't mind chucking him. He wasn't the biggest guy, but he had Native Indian in him. So when that came out, it was like
Native American
after people.
Yeah. Okay. So he played there a while, and I saw some of his seasons. One season he had 105 points.
Yeah, he scored goals for fun. Like honestly, you'd see him maybe not make an impact for 55 minutes, and then he'd turn it on. One trophy we won. We were playing Edinburgh on the Saturday, last weekend of the season, and Belfast Sunday. And we had to win in Edinburgh, get the 2 points to not have to play for the league title against Belfast in the last game of the season the next day. And we were losing. And I mean, at the time, Edinburgh weren't good. So to go up there and be losing, he scored with about 30 seconds to go to tie it up. And then he scored in overtime. Like the guy would just,
he's a gamer.
And he could hit anything. He could hit a puck that was rolling, bouncing.
And you said he would fight too, eh? Was he big?
He wasn't a fighter, but like he would, if someone annoyed him enough, he would drop him for sure. He wasn't scared to drop him.
So how big's this guy?
Yeah, he was 5'10", 5'11", maybe 180, 190. He wasn't big.
And then the goalie that season, Jody Lehman. The reason I know that name is because he ran a muck of the EIHL forever. But shed guy Greg Schmidt was one of his great buddies. And when we went from Beatingheim to Sheffield to play them, I know he went out of his way to go visit him for the day. And when Schmidt's my buddy, I figure Jody would be my buddy if I met him too.
He would be for sure. The guy, he's just a winner. Like he won everywhere he played, everywhere he went, he won. I was sad to see him leave because obviously he went to the darker side. But he was phenomenal that year for us. We were pretty stacked, if I'm honest, that year.
Is that the lockout then?
It was. We had Belak. that year.
Wade Belak, another guy that's
Yeah.
passed.
Yeah. Unbelievable guy and teammate too. Sad, obviously,
Weird,
sad
we're
story
talking
with
about
his,
such
but
young guys, right? Like,
yeah,
geez,
yeah,
that
yeah.
sucks.
It does. It does. But yeah, it was Belak partnered with Neil. And
Neil.
I remember Neil Martin, one of the best D-men I think that's played in. He played in Germany, played in Austria, Denmark. He's from Canada.
Okay, I don't think I know him.
Great player. And he said he partnered with Belak. He said this is the least I've ever been hit in my entire career. First evening.
It does it not. It totally changes things when those guys are on the ice.
Massively. He said I could do what I wanted. Not he wasn't dirty or anything. It didn't mean he could do whatever, but he could literally go spinorama. Guys just left him alone because they knew they'd have Belak to answer
If you crush that guy, Belak is right there, right? He doesn't have to come
Yeah,
off the bench. He's right there.
right there. Yeah. Yeah. He
When
loved
I
it.
would play a shift against Adam Keefe or Cam Jansen, I knew exactly where they were at all times.
Yeah, I played D, and I remember hearing Cam Jansen skating when the puck went in the corner. I could hear his skates hitting the ice. I'm like, oh my
Oh
goodness.
God, he's gonna run me through the end wall, and he
Well,
would
I had to time it where because he came so hard that I'd move out of the way in the last
just
minute.
out of the way. Yeah.
But he would remember which way you got out of the way. So if he came into the corner again, he was anticipating you're going to do that, and he would crush. You're done.
Oh, he did. He had a talent for it, man. I saw him chase down a couple guys into the corner, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, that he
Oh,
doesn't.
oh
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah. But yeah, it would change having Wade Belak on your team, eh? And like, it's weird that you
No.
bring a guy like that over for the lockout because there were teams in Germany, there were teams around Europe that brought NHL guys over and they thought they were all stars, they thought they were superstars, and they'd be on the blue line dangling last man back and give up breakaways. And I saw it in Germany. They didn't give a fuck that their team got scored on. They thought they were awesome. They were there to put on a show for the fans. And it wasn't about winning the game. You get a guy like Wade
Yeah.
Belak over, he's a teammate and he's trying to win the game, right?
Honestly, honestly, Wally, true story. We're playing in the final when we won the playoffs in Nottingham, and we at the time there was I think only 12 imports. Teams would run 5D. So Belak was sat like almost shaking on the end of the bench, and Tomo had to go speak to him because you got to remember his job in the NHL. He didn't play playoffs. So we're in now a playoff final, which he's never been in that position. Bearing in mind he gets paid $1 million for what he does in the NHL.
And he
Tomo
cared
had to
so
sit him down
much.
and say,
Yeah.
"Listen,
It's just a
yes,
game.
yeah." He went in. We got championship rings from that, and there was a story I heard where like he went back and showed it off to a lot of the Leafs. It was like Ty Domi and stuff. Like, what's that? He's like, yeah, this is my ring. Like he just was showing it off because he was so proud of it, and that's
Well,
how he played.
and winning is winning. It doesn't
Of
matter what
course it
league
is.
you're in, right? Like
Absolutely,
once you're in that league, you may as well try and win it. Not be a,
winning's fun.
it is fun. So after that year, you win everything, eh? So the league you won by a game or so, right at the
I
end.
can't remember, but yeah, I can't
So
remember.
was there anything like that? So then you win the Challenge Cup, KO
And
Cup,
the playoffs.
and playoffs.
So we won the playoffs, league, and the Challenge Cup. Yeah.
That's a season. That's a lot of winning. That's a lot of fun.
It was. It doesn't happen very often. There's only one other team since that point that's done it. I think it was Nottingham.
Nottingham. Yeah.
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 A couple of teams have been close. Belfast almost did it this year.
I know. Yeah. That Adam Keefe's doing pretty good there, you know.
He is. He is. He's doing phenomenal.
Real competitor. So after that season though, you don't win a trophy the next year.
No, and I don't think we won one for a while.
Well, so you the next year you didn't. I was wondering if there's a lot of turnover, like because well, I guess the lockout ends, so you'd lose Belak, but like the other guys, like after you win a Grand Slam and you're in the EIHL, there's probably some guys that are like, well, that's it for me. We did it. I'm done. Right?
Somewhere else in Europe, yeah. I think half of the team went. Some guys retired, some got offers elsewhere. And I will tell you this, there was guys on the NBA that year, and a lot of other teams started to cotton on. Coventry was the first one to have a uni
First
deal.
one to do it.
And it was
It's
the only
game
one.
changer.
Massive. And then now every single team in the league does for
And
the
they
recruitment.
should.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We wouldn't have some of the players that played in the league otherwise.
Wow, it's a game changer. It changes everything. That's
But
it is why I
would
would
you have
not
come, no?
I wasn't planning on it, but I might have just I was having a tough go getting anything else too, right? But now the money I hear that the EIHL is paying, and with the exchange rates, I don't get into exchange rates much on here, but it is a big factor in where to play hockey for a season. When I went to Germany, and this was about when I'm making the most I ever made, was the exchange rate was 1.7 something to the Canadian dollar, the euro, right? And
Okay.
now, then it went down a few years later, it's down to 1.28. It changed what I made drastically, and it had nothing
Massive.
to do with how I played hockey. The
Yeah.
pound is strong, right? And it always is. And now I hear the money keeps going up because we got more fans, and like teams that are they're making more money, they're getting more fans. Like now that all the baloney's over, like let's keep her rocking and get the boys paid, right?
Well, based on what you just said, Wally, between 1.2, 1.7, if someone's making, say, around 30,000, that would be what, like 15,000 more?
It changes.
Making like 1,000 every week?
It changes your summer drastically.
Massive. That's the difference between having a job with your buddy in the mines or living it up.
Exactly. And it was 1.7 something when I went over there, and we're getting bonuses and living life. And then by my end of Bietigheim, I think it was 1.28, and I'm like, geez, should I be playing hockey anymore? Like,
that is a lot.
And it has nothing to do with how many goals you're scoring. It has nothing to do with how you're playing, right? And that's what sucks.
Of course.
And it changes where you'd want to play, and the pound's
the other
always
thing
strong.
in Europe too is that's right. But the one thing in Europe is you contract UK, it's 2 weeks and see you later.
And that's a downfall, right? And then there's pros and cons to everywhere. Germany, if you get injured badly and it costs you your career or what have you, you have issues for life, they have a system set up that can help you out. You know,
that's right. I know a couple guys have had that.
It's called the BG. And there's other countries, you hurt your knee, they're going to give you a handshake and a pat on the ass and thanks for coming and fucking up your body. See you later.
Which is not, say you had to hurt your knee in Germany, that would have been huge for you, right? Like compared to hurting it in
say I heard it there before and
it came back.
And then, well, they did agree that was why it happened again. So that's how we have the shed. So thank you, Germany. Right. Way to go, guys. Great system. Anyways, moving on though. You didn't win the trophy, but then you do go to Cardiff. So this is your first year out of Coventry in like a handful of years. So why did you make the jump to Cardiff?
I was playing third line, and that's it at the time. And I said to Tom, I was like, can I get some more experience in other areas? And he was honest with me, like, which is why I wanted to hear. He said, I can't guarantee that. And I said, okay, no problem. I'm going to have a chat with some other teams. And I did. And
so Tomo was the coach for all that?
For most of that for most of my career in Coventry, yeah. And
like the Grand Slam, he was the coach.
Yes. Yeah. So, I made the jump. I said, okay, I'm going. It was that or Belfast. I just went to Belfast. It was Belfast or Cardiff.
You're leaving Coventry to get more ice time elsewhere, eh?
Yeah.
Huh. It's weird how it changes over the years, right? You wouldn't be leaving Coventry to get more ice time in Cardiff nowadays.
No, exactly right. No, you're spot on. You wouldn't. It is amazing how times change, because generally, if you did want more ice time as a younger Brit, you're trying to look for one of the smaller teams, smaller budget teams.
So you get to actually play and work on your craft, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that year in Cardiff, though, you guys ran a muck, you could say. You guys almost win a slam.
I think we only won one cup, but we went to the finals of the playoffs.
Shut your filthy mouth. The research team says you won everything but the playoffs. KO Cup, Challenge Cup, League, nothing. What?
We won the KO Cup. We went to the finals of the playoffs. We were not far off the league. I don't think we didn't have a home arena.
I
till
didn't
Christmas.
think Cardiff won the league back then. And I was like, this doesn't
No,
make sense. And I'm looking at
no.
it and I'm double checking the years. And the research seems like this doesn't make sense. They didn't win it back then.
Fire
And
him, Wally. Fire him.
can't fire volunteers. They're the best.
I'm
But
just
okay, okay. So it makes sense
Yeah.
now because the
So we
research
won-
team
we
was
won
seeing
one
it. And
cup.
I'm like, none of this makes sense.
I got to be honest. So Wally, if we had that rink right from the get-go, we had the team that I think would have won another trophy.
The
At least one
BBT.
more. Yes, because we only had the rink. I mean, we went one week. We played a game on the Saturday. We didn't skate again until the next Sunday, which was a game. So we went 8 days, no skating, from one game to the next.
Love it.
And one game a week. We were playing one game a week up until Christmas. 'cause we
And
just
and
rode games.
with no skating and no ice, I'm sure the boys didn't go out at all.
No, of course we didn't.
No.
Oh, Chippy Lane.
It-
My house wasn't Chippy Lane, but it might as well have been.
So you have been there. What would you? I was curious if Coventry has a Chippy Lane type of deal.
There's a yellow counter place that we called it the yellow counter. It wasn't the name of the place, it had a yellow counter. So but there was it was the cobbled street by the casino, by the cobbled street next to the casino.
So I don't know Coventry at all. I just I've never been there other than to play hockey, you know.
Well, the strip of bars that were along right by the rink, right there, right next
I
to the
bet
rink.
you I didn't even walk around the arena once. I got to the rink. I went out to the parking area, played 2-touch, ran a muck, shoulder strikes, back strikes, win a couple championships, and then we'd go, run a muck with you guys and I'd leave.
You sound like a competitive guy. Would you get mad in 2-touch if you lost? You do, huh?
No, I know when I play good or not.
Okay.
I always had the skills to win the game, and it was up to me whether or not I performed.
You just wanted to give him a chance.
Yeah. I love 2-touch. I think I like that
Sometimes.
more than playing some of the games,
Honestly, 2-touch is the best.
You show up to play the Hull Stingrays or some of the teams, and you're like, you know what? This is as much fun as I'm going to have tonight is playing 2-touch because this just isn't exciting.
I almost hurt. I tore a ligament in my ankle playing 2-touch once.
You hear about a lot of injuries in 2-touch, and you're like, well, you can get injured doing anything, right?
Of course you can. Of course you can. I was lucky because I couldn't walk, couldn't run. It blew up, but when I put my skate on, because it's so tight and compact,
you'd be
okay. I actually
okay.
could skate with it, but I couldn't do anything for about 3 weeks. I played, yeah, it was fun. I didn't think I'd be able to. It honestly blew right up. I was like, oh God.
Did you roll it on the ball?
But I've heard of a couple guys miss. I went to stretch, lean out and stretch.
Yeah.
And I basically toe picked a little bit and then it just rolled it sideways.
So I also I was a very talented 2-touch player, and I'm sure everybody from Cardiff can attest to that, or Germany for that matter. I can play with all the nations, but I knew my physique and what was going on. I wouldn't go too far out of my way to stretch for something because I knew the hips don't lie, right? You can't kick some balls.
Definitely. Yeah, I was okay. I was okay. Brits are normally all right.
So anyways, we got sidetracked again. Jeez, it's almost 7:30 in the morning now.
Jeez, sorry, where were we?
Yeah, so we still got a long day ahead of us, folks. We're not in a rush today. It's Sunday morning. So couple guys on that team though in the BBT, I can see why you'd have the team. Voth had 253 penalty minutes that year.
Honestly, we had an unbelievable team, and I think when you look at the situation we had with no rink, it had to be that kind of team to A, stay together, and B, win anything, which we won at least. I know it was a cup and it's not as important.
And don't ask the research team what you won. Yeah.
I'll run with it. We won the league.
You won everything. You won everything except the playoffs based off the research team.
We just had a really good group. Vother was solid, really good player. And then
Max Beerbreyer, Shed guy.
Butte. That was his first year. In Cardiff.
Man, that guy might have the craziest life story I've heard, and great guy. And then I saw him play in the Matthews testimonial, and he's a big fella and talented, eh?
You want to see him hit.
Is that right? He can score and hit. I wouldn't want him hitting me.
If you you'd want to know where he was on the ice if you were coming through the middle, like
Really?
receiving a pass.
And he
Oh,
scores.
yep.
That's
Yeah.
why they love him so much. Devils fans love that shit.
Yeah.
Scoring
Yeah.
and hitting and mucking it
Yeah.
up.
I think he had to have surgery because he was playing, and it was one of those breaks where it was very minor, but they told him at the time when he had the X-ray done, if he took the wrong kind of hit, it would paralyze him, and he didn't even know. Like he's been through some stuff. He's been through some stuff.
He's a resilient fella.
Yeah.
He's a resilient. Okay. After that
Yes, he
season, though,
is.
after that
Yes, he
season,
is.
well, so if you went to Cardiff and you went to Chippy Lane like you did that year, and I'm sure you did, what would you order? What are you mucking up late night?
I used to get the shish kebab, I think, and then some chips. Yeah, the kebab with like, I'd usually get the hot sauce and all the salad, chips. Sometimes I might get some cheese on the chips, depends how hungry I was.
See, I was looking at some of the chips. A lot of people telling me they're getting chips on Chippy Lane. I was looking at some of the chips. I don't feel like they're cooked enough. They look a little mushy. And then you look at Chippy Lane, and it was actually Matthew's wife, Nairi, that brought it up, that all of the chips get the fries, folks in Canada, that get like stepped on and mushed into the cobblestone or whatever, like into the road. It's like a dance floor on Chippy Lane, and it's all mushy fries that I think are just a touch undercooked. And I'm sorry, I'm a chef, and your fries aren't cooked enough on Chippy Lane.
When you're going in there though, like, and you're in the state that you're in, I'm not sure whether, like, if
It
you went in
doesn't
there sober,
matter.
you
I
think,
know.
is this what I'm eating?
Mm.
I used to taste unreal to me. There was a steak place that was down that lane too that you could go into. What was it called? There was a steak place and you could get steak at like 4 a.m. I can't remember what it was
Somebody's
called.
brought this up before. They said they were with Steven Dixon and they ended up somewhere.
Yes. Nice
Yeah.
rest, like nice place.
Sounds
for
like
a
it's
4
still
a.m.
here,
steak.
but I never found it when I came over for the weekend just
That's a
recently. But
question for another Cardiff guy. You'll have to ask the question.
yeah,
Can't remember what it was called.
I don't think that's what I'm into at that time of night. I don't want to sit down for a nice steak at that time. I want to get shaved meat off of a stick and just go to town, you know?
The elephant leg as they call it.
And get to bed.
Yeah.
You get meat rotating on a stick, I'm in. You know? Okay, so that year you guys pretty well won the Grand Slam, almost.
Yeah.
But then you go back to Coventry. So did you get the ice time you wanted in Cardiff?
I got injured that year, and I think it was the fact that we just didn't skate. I ended up tearing like my lower abdominal.
Yeah.
So
Your body needs to get used to that shit. You go a week and then get into like a game again. Yeah, that's gonna pull shit.
Yeah, and I couldn't. The way I play too, like I need my fitness. Like I'm not. Like I can't get away with like floating and just being like I don't have the skill to just float and do what I want. So I needed my fitness, and I guess it just didn't work. Didn't work on that set, but I had a lot of fun and
you went back to Coventry. So is that back to Tomo?
Tomo was there. Yeah. Yeah.
So why did you go back?
The school was a big factor for me. Having a year, getting the school, and getting that done. Plus, I was teaching prior to that too.
And
I
that's
thought,
the decision with the 2 years in Cardiff or the 1 year in Coventry. Was that the year you make that decision?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Why not?
Well, and that's when you start running amok, just so you know. I don't know if you've looked at your stats or your resume, as they'd call it, but that's the year you get 50 points in 53 games.
So I played in the middle of 2 imports that year, which is I said to Tom when I was going back there, as much as I wanted school, I'm like, are you going to give me a bit more ice time, more opportunity? And he obviously did. As I said, I didn't play PP, but I think we ran half the year with 2 centermen too because of injuries. So Dan Carlson was the one other
two centermen.
Yeah.
And this is not minor hockey. This is a full professional match for 60 minutes.
Yeah. I lost 10 pounds when we went 2 centermen. I literally lost 10 pounds in weight.
I could see it going to but 2 back then because of the like budgets and like trying to.
It was all 3 lines.
Yeah.
Teams only had 3 lines. There was no 4-line teams. None.
None.
So it was
Even when
kind
I
of
went over there, we were a
standard.
3-line team, and that's when it started changing, right? And
Right.
to be honest, as a player, I never liked playing 4 lines. I'd rather play 3.
Well, you're in the game more, right? When you
Way
play
more.
three, sometimes, yeah. And if you're this is the problem too, Wally, is like if every team is playing 4 lines and you're maxing out your shift, great. But when you're playing one of the lower budget teams that's still running 3, and their top 2 lines are on there, they're conserving their energy, and then they'll score a couple on you, and you're playing on the back foot, and you're almost dropping down to their level. That's what I find. You can't maintain that pace because they're not playing at it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And like I said, the 3-line always made more sense to me. You get more time. By the time you get 4 lines, and say you're that 4th line, and then all of a sudden a penalty happens either way. If you're not on the power play or penalty kill, you can be sitting there for God, almost 8
Yeah.
minutes, 10 minutes. And it's not that you're getting benched, it's that you're not on the power play, you're not on the penalty kill, and like
Yeah.
your 4-shift rotation, it was your turn. Now all of a sudden it's not your turn. You do the power play or penalty kill, then they want to get the big boys out there again, and say you're on the 3rd line, Neil Francis. And then you don't get a shift for 8 minutes, right? And you're like, well,
Yeah.
what the fuck? What the? But that's why
Yeah,
4 lines would
I'm
suck. I didn't even like it with 3 when you're on the 3rd line. You
I
know?
hear you.
Hockey
It
players like
was
playing, right?
absolutely, and I ended up on the kill quite a lot in the last part of my career, which is what, like you just said, that's what kept me in games. It wasn't so much the 5-on-5, because if I didn't kill, I wouldn't have, like you just said, I wouldn't have seen the ice for 5 to 8 minutes at a time. So
Yeah.
it makes a huge difference to your output, whatever your role is.
Well, and it's weird for me too, because there was a game in junior where my hand was too screwed up to play the game. So I sat on the bench and kind of watched, and then we went into overtime. This is in the final series. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out and try and play regardless. My hand wasn't frozen yet. The rest of the series, we froze it. But that game was when I couldn't play. And then I went out to try and play. I couldn't stick handle or shoot, but the pace of play had slowed down so much. And I was fresh. And I'm like, I can't believe how slow these guys are skating around now. It was crazy, but I couldn't shoot or stick handle. So I
What
was,
happened?
we had my hand.
What happened to your hand, and what happened in the game?
I think we ended up losing that game in overtime, and we
Oof.
lost in game 7 for the finals, like for it all. I don't want to talk about it, but yeah, the hand, it was, I don't know, there's something going on. We just needed to freeze it, and then it was fine.
Yeah. I had the same with a finger. I bust my finger, froze it, and it wasn't the smartest decision because I almost needed surgery. I shouldn't have played. But I was told that it was like jersey finger. I don't even know what that is. And I said, I'm
Jersey
pretty sure it's
finger.
broke. I couldn't. Yeah.
Is that like from
I think it's a
fighting?
rugby. I think it's a rugby term when they grab and it damages the ligament. I think it's rust. I couldn't hold my stick properly, and they froze it, taped it to the other one, played the rest of the game, played the next night, and then figured out it was broken. I almost needed surgery. So,
well, you look back on some things and you might not play through some of it, right? But then there's also
definitely.
times where, like, one of my mentors, Derek Clancy, who was just on, I remember him telling me the one game when I had some issues, and he's like, well, are you hurt or are you injured? And I'm like, what do you mean? This is way back when. He's like, well, if you're injured, you can't play. And if you're hurt, you can play. He's like, but if you don't play, then I'm going to put another little right-handed shot, Peter Paul. He's going to take your spot on the power play. He's going to run the half wall. And if he does well, then he'll probably
You're
be
not
there
having it back.
he'll probably be there next game. And then I was like, I'm hurt. I can play.
Hey, you know what? They like that old school mentality though is like it's not the same as what it used to be in hockey. I don't think
No,
for
I don't think.
the younger generation.
They want to be
I'm
completely healthy and like before they go out there and strut their stuff, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, we were screamed and shouted at. Instead, now it's kind of like a pat on the shoulder.
Yeah,
You're okay.
Yeah. You know what? You turned it over that time, but next time I bet you're gonna make that play.
But way to go.
Way to go. Good work out there. Okay, anyways, you went 53 points, 45 points, 41 points. Hell of a run there, though, eh? And you guys are
Yeah, it
good. Is
was.
that the same coach the whole time? Are you guys pretty good that whole run there
I'm
from
trying
like?
to think. I'm trying to think when the coach changed. I want to say it was 2014, like 13, 14, maybe when Tomo
He
went
was there
abroad.
that long?
I think Tomo was,
Jeepers.
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
why I never think of him as that because I wasn't there yet.
yeah, because he took the team that was originally in Solihull. They went to Coventry, started the team there. He had a ownership in it to start with, so he had an ownership in the team as well. So I
Right.
think that's why he was kind of invested like
And I'm
as
pretty
much as he
sure he
was.
did well in Denmark last year.
He did, because he's been to a few leagues in Denmark, Germany. I'm trying to think if he's been outside of those too, but I think he likes Denmark quite a bit.
Yeah, I
He
think he
seems to
did
like
well. I think it
Denmark. He's
was
done well.
Odense.
I think
Yeah.
he did well in Germany because he took on the lowest team in the league at the time, and he did well with them and kept them up.
And that's the thing, right? In Germany, there's so many different situations, and it's which
Yeah,
one you're walking into. As coaches, if you don't know what you're walking into as far as
yeah,
budget, as far as what's expected, there's teams you could go there and they expect to be at the bottom. And if you're
that's
not
right.
quite at the bottom, they think you're like a hero. And if you're
Yeah,
at the, but you could go to teams and they think you're supposed to win it. And if you're not in first place, like winning every game, they could just can you any weekend.
yeah. See ya,
Yeah.
and they don't care about it.
Well, you can
See ya.
lose to the rivals. You could be in first place and lose to the rivals, and they'll just can you.
It's insane. The
It is.
mentality is
And
is
that's your
insane.
job. And to think you could lose your job just like that, the stress and sleeping, it's like, I
Yeah,
quite fine. I didn't get into coaching after, Like,
you had way more fun in the UK, didn't you, than
I did.
anywhere else?
I did
Yeah,
have way more fun in the UK than anywhere else. There's no doubt about it. And Western
yeah.
Michigan was a pretty good time, other
Yeah,
than
I can imagine.
not winning hockey games. We weren't good at that. Okay, so then 2009-10, you win the league again. No,
Okay.
maybe.
No, that's right. That sounds right.
Who
Yeah.
knows anymore, right?
No, that sounds right. We won, I want to say we won the league a couple times from that season, and then maybe the next or the one after we won.
Is that
And
right?
then,
I don't know how many you got, but Luke Fulgham had
yeah, Luke
48 goals.
Fulgi, yeah, Fulgi, he led the league in scoring that year. He's from Colorado. I don't know if
That's a lot of
he might have,
goals.
yeah, he did. He's a good goal scorer. Yeah, really
So
good.
when you so Coventry, is it the school that's making this happen, or do they have a bigger budget than nowadays?
No, I think the school helped us originally, and then some of the arena teams, I think, overtook from the ability to pay, if you like, or the amount that they paid.
Yeah, they just
And
kind of
then,
jumped over.
yeah, and then
That's
you're
kind of
lucky.
what happens though when teams lose, they try to figure out how to be better, right? And sometimes
Yeah,
money is the answer.
yeah. Money doesn't make you happy, but it makes being miserable a lot more happier.
Yeah. And it makes hockey teams better.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Money talks, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah, you can bring over better players if you can pay them.
Yeah,
It's pretty simple.
yeah. What's that? What's that
Okay.
you're saying? Another grand a week? Yeah, I'll come. I'll come.
I'm not sure how long we've been talking. It's still pretty early, but how many so that was one of my questions. How many coaches did you go through in all your time in Coventry? But you basically
Four,
had this.
four,
Did
four
you
different coaches.
you had Lefebvre with the fantastic hair.
Yeah.
Then you had that guy that won in Cincinnati. What was his name?
Actually, it'd be five. Chuck Weber. So Tomo, Soderstrom, who was a player I played with, he was coach for a bit.
Soderstrom? That sounds Swedish.
Yeah, he is. He lives in the UK now, though. Awesome guy, really good guy, great teammate. He was at Coventry a long time. He'd be in the top 3 or 4 players for games played for him, I think.
And that was after Tomo?
Yeah. So it was Tomo. I think he was first. It was Tomo, Soderstrom, Lefebvre, Chuck, and then Danny Stewart. Because when I finished and retired, he was coaching. That was his first year or second.
That angry little elf.
Do you know what though? Like he was so angry as a player.
Sorry, Danny. I'm just joking, but I'm not.
He's not. He Yeah, awesome teammate. When I played with him as a coach, he was the opposite as what you'd think based on how he played. He's
What do
the
you? He
opposite.
was soft.
Not soft.
I tell
Just
you, when playing against him, I thought he was the most annoying little punk out
yeah, he
there
was a
because,
rat.
well, but
He
like,
played like a rat.
I'm like, okay, he's asking me to fight and acting like he's so angry at me, and I'm like, I haven't even talked to you in my life. I don't know. You've never played hockey against you. I'm like, what are you so angry about? Like, we're just playing hockey. Like, grow up. Why am I gonna fight you? Like, just play, man. Just relax.
His role was a rat, so he's just obviously trying to
He
get you
was
off your
trying to
game. I
piss
don't know
me
whether it
off,
worked.
but you know
Something.
what? He was
Yeah.
just annoying, really.
What you pouring there? Coffee?
Yep. Right?
Nice. It is. Shame I can't ask you to pour me one and hand it through the computer there. um, so yeah, he was
Two
just a,
ales and hockey tails.
I'd take a beer. Hey, it's Sunday and it's hot and it's now coming up 1 o'clock here. I could have a beer.
I agree. It's almost 8 a.m. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, folks.
Yes, it is. No, but yeah, he was Stewie's obviously been doing a really good job, I think, because there's obviously teams with bigger budgets. He's doing a good job at Coventry.
So he's still there, eh? And they compete every year. He's a competitor. I saw that. He's a competitor. He's a gamer. I know that. I just thought he was a bit excessive with
yeah,
all
he
the
played like a
anger.
rat. He was a rat.
Yeah,
He was a
I
rat.
just
I hated playing against him.
didn't understand why he was so angry.
Yeah.
It's just a game.
Angry little elf.
So you got your jersey retired. Can't skip over that. You
Yeah,
know what? We'll get to that. So how did you decide to shut her down in 2017? Because 2017, you kind of shut it down. That was your last year on GB when you win gold. We'll get into those things, but you shut it down 2017 with Coventry and you don't play the next year. Right?
Yeah, I retired. I just wasn't feeling it. I wanted to start work as well. Like I'd done my PhD. I needed to start a career. And the longer I waited into getting into that, I was going to be starting sort of from scratch at that point, if you like. So I just wanted to get the career thing going. And we had a daughter in 2015. So at that time, she was 2. So I was thinking it's time to start concentrating on things outside of hockey. Yeah.
Yeah, I do know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I do know.
So, and then, yeah, I
So
blame Ash for
then you
bringing me
didn't
back.
play that year and you were working. You were giving her.
That's right.
So you got
I
hired
did
on
that.
right away after the PhD, you get hired on right away with the school there.
So I applied for a position. So I finished in February and then I was working in August. So I applied for a position that came out and I think it was like June. And then obviously started in
You're talking the February, you're still playing hockey, and then you get a job in August before the start of the next season.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So then what was it like though when, like, obviously I've seen your physique, you could still play. So
no, do you know what? I was behind on my PhD. I didn't touch the gym at all. So I went from playing hockey professionally to doing nothing for 6 months. And I was in like a bad place. Like my body it went, the way it functioned just went completely messed up. And I don't even know how to explain it. It just went messed up. And I think it's because it went from the shock of being active and doing nothing.
Yeah, I think I have an idea what you're talking about because when I went to that testimonial, I haven't used my body as an athlete or to do much of anything for a long time. And then when I tried to play hockey, I'm like, holy fuck, this is really tiring. And I just yeah. Apparently, if you don't use it, you do in fact lose it. That's what they say.
Very quickly. Very quickly, too.
Very quickly. Yeah. Last episode, a few of the guys from Kincardine were mentioning what I looked like when I got back from Cardiff after doing the pregame speeches. They said I didn't really look like a hockey player, but
I love it.
Yeah. Anywho, so they retired your jersey. When did they do that?
That was in 2018, so the 17-18 season.
So
And yeah, that
you're
was
only
just,
been out for a year and they're already retiring it.
yeah, I think because I played the most games and um, stuff like that. I was just honored when they said, "Yeah, we're gonna retire your jersey," and
I
yeah, it
would
was
think
really,
you'd be honored. My word, you should be.
really
Like
kind,
any team
really
that
kind of them.
retiring a jersey for a player, that means a lot, I would think, because as a kid, you grow up seeing jerseys up in the rafters and you're like, holy moly, like who are they? What's, and
Of
like
course,
that
what's their story? And
your jersey's up there, man.
yeah, it's nice. I mean, obviously, I think the reason they wanted to do is not just the stuff I did playing, but I did quite a few things with. I ran a charity for 5 years, raising money for sick kids or different charities, and every year I'd run three events, one of them being a golf day. Um, so yeah, I think those are the reasons. There's
Hmm.
other than playing, I think there are reasons as to why.
Um,
So
huh. I didn't know you did all that, you know?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, you do a lot though. Sounds like
Oh yeah, you
just
have to,
reviewing
right?
the last couple hours. It seems like you do quite a bit.
Well, I to be honest, I don't have the hat with me, but I developed a logo, TPC, and it's a hockey player thing, and it's the players' charity. So we called it the players' charity, and the marketing guy used to help me with that every year. So me and him ran it. Used to run everything with those events, and I remember the one year, the one golf day profit we had over £5,000 from the golf day alone. And there was one of our young fans who God rest his soul too. I was good friends with his dad. His son had a mitochondrial disease and he passed away at a young age. Um, and he didn't really get a chance at life. And he was the kind of kid that you look at and he would bring a smile to your face instantly. But you know, and I always said this to his dad, like he's the true hero in life because he comes in our room and he looks at us as heroes, but none of us have ever battled every day what he goes through. Um, and yeah, it was a sad year, but I actually his dad asked me to carry his coffin when he passed, and I did so. Um, but yeah, so that money went to a room that they developed at the hospital called it's now called Jack's room. His name was Jack. They called it Jack's room, and they developed a room for when parents have a child that's going to pass, they can stay in that room. So it's more like a proper room for them to be in when their children are in that state. So it's sad. Yeah, it's sad.
Huh. Hmm. Yeah.
Sorry about it. I'm
No,
bringing this down a little bit here, but
no, but that's I mean, uh
yeah, I don't know how parents go through that either with their children if they're in that
can't
situation. I
imagine.
don't
Can't imagine.
cannot. No.
No. Well, it's fantastic you're doing stuff like that. And I mean, starting this and just wanting to talk to my buddies. And then there was a time where I was like kind of asking anybody to come on and kind of like, you know, I just want guys because I like doing this. And then it's gotten to the point where there's enough people that want to come on that it's like you can kind of select who you think would be a good chat, or there's whatever reasons or my personal history with them. But like I saw your name on Twitter and it said doctor, and then I played against you, and I'm like, that like I always talk about how guys play like their personalities. I was like, well, that guy was like honest. He was hardworking. He just played the game. He wasn't really out there chirping anybody. He was just being an honest, good dude out on the ice all the time. And I was like, that guy'd be a great guy to have on. And then I hear about all this shit. I'm like, it's amazing what some people do. That's all.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks, Wally. I mean, sometimes you can figure out what people are like, can't you, without even having met them.
I just got to
But
play hockey against most of them. I ain't having Noble on. You can tell him. tell him if
oh,
he's
hey, no,
listening.
I'll tell them.
Yeah. Let him know he
Would
ain't
you have
coming
them
to my
on?
shed.
Would you have them on? Would you have them on?
You know what? It would almost be funny, wouldn't it?
I think it
Maybe I
would.
could ask him what he was doing in
Yeah.
Cardiff that night. What was he doing in Nottingham when the guy beat him up? after he did the
I
same
think you
thing.
get a lot of listens. You
You
get a
know
lot of
what?
listens.
You know what? You're not a confirmed shed guy, Noble, but you can come and talk to me. We'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll be friends by the end, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Unless you explain yourself, you punk. You know what I mean? I don't like people trying to hurt people when like there's no reason for it, but that's
I
just me.
know.
I'd rather
Nobody
play your
does.
best team and
Nobody
beat your
does.
best team than try and injure guys. I'd rather play your best. Bring your best kids and I'll bring my best kids and we'll see who wins. You know, that's what I'd rather than trying to hurt someone so they can't play the next game.
No, nobody wants that for sure.
So,
Get 'em on
anyways,
there.
you had a testimonial?
I did, but it was quite. When was it? 2012, maybe 13. I had a testimonial year.
How
The
young are
team
you
almost.
at this age?
Oh geez. When did I join? Because it was on the 10th year, or was it?
So
I'm trying
you'd
to
be
think.
young. You'd be like only like 30.
Yeah, I wasn't old. I was just trying to think which year it was though, because James Pease had one near mine, I think, but it was around about 2012, 2013.
And was it good? Was it memorable? Was it awesome?
It was awesome time. The only sad thing about, and it was no one's fault, but that year was the year where financially things were bad. The team almost folded. All of the sponsors chipped in money because the main sponsor went into administration. So the team was on its back, if you
Pretty
like,
well tits up.
which meant that
Which means on its back, I guess, if we're really looking at things. Tits up is on your back. So there you go.
unless you've got boobs somewhere else, I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
The sponsors normally obviously help out on testimonial years and are part of sponsorships. And because they had to help the team stay afloat, it meant that it was a tough year to have a testimonial, but it's no one's fault. That's the way it goes. That's life. But
yeah.
it was awesome.
But you got your jersey retired. So did you get to go there and see it raised to the rafters?
I did. Yeah. I had to speak to,
Did you cry?
Did
you cry?
I think I held it together. I can't remember. I think I held it together.
Really? No emotion,
I was close. I was close.
I was gonna say, you put in that much time and that many years and that many hours and that many practices and games, and then they do that for you. Be pretty cool.
I cried when it was my last game for Coventry. Now I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made a few boys in Cardiff cry too.
I struggled.
I remember the first year in Cardiff after we lost in the playoffs, and I didn't know if that was it or what was happening. But once you know, like, there's not many more opportunities, and when you have a good group that could win, and then you don't, you can get emotional because you're like, there's only so many chances to win shit. And when you win shit, it is fun.
And you never figure it out until sometimes it's almost too late.
And that, the guys that didn't win shit, they have a different, they don't
understand.
No.
Don't understand. And it's like anything in life. A lot of times, someone that gets really sick or really ill, no one can really understand what it feels like unless you're in that spot. Nobody. The same as having kids as a parent. When someone's going to become a parent, you tell them and they look at you and they think, oh, I know it's coming. You're like, no, you really don't.
No, you don't. Know what I mean? Like, no. And it's true, though.
Same with winning.
And it's the same with hockey players when it comes to putting in the time with kids and putting in the effort. There's some that'll do it and are great people from the start when they're 20 years old. There's a lot that, like, it takes having a kid that you're like, look at what it does to them. Like, you don't actually get what it can do to a child. What just giving them a puck can do for months, for years. And it takes a second.
Yes. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
And anywho, so testimonial, jersey retired, you held it together. We better keep going. You didn't play for a year, and then you go back and become the captain of the Basingstoke Bison. So who brought you out of retirement? That was Ashley Tate. To play with him, or is he the player coach?
Player coach. Played with him in Coventry. Obviously, I'm with GB, so I knew him well, and a really good friend of mine. And he got the job in Basingstoke 4 weeks before the season was going to start, and he had to put a team together, struggling for players. And I said, in the end, I was like, okay, I'll come. I practiced once a week with him. Would stay down one night a week here and there, and yeah, I had
So
fun. Great
yeah,
group, had fun. Really
and you
good
got to
group of
keep
guys.
staying
Loved
part
it.
of the game while you're working, and you got 49 and 38. Not a bad deal.
Enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good fun. Loved it.
So you did that for 1 year, and then you go to Milton Keynes. So is that closer to
Yeah,
where you were living, or what
it
happens
was
there?
at the time because I was living in. I used to live in Coventry, so Milton Keynes was only an hour. So it was a lot closer to home. But I live in Worcester now, so I'm a bit further away from Milton Keynes.
Where's Worcester?
About an hour, 45 minutes dead south of Birmingham. So
Ah,
you would drive by Worcester coming to Coventry when you got off the M50 onto the M5.
I was sleeping.
Literally from Cardiff, I'm about an hour and a half.
Okay. So you're
Yeah,
right, kind of right in between the two.
yeah, yeah.
I
You drive
gotcha.
by, yeah, you drive right by Worcester. Yeah,
So Team GB though, as in that's the last thing I really got here is like we didn't really talk about it. You work your way up. You guys weren't that good to the Disney movie. Like, where were the best places you went over the years and like memorable tournaments? Like, is it just the memories with the guys, or is it like the cities, or like because you guys did a lot of shit over 15
yeah.
years?
The cities are definitely some of the nicest places I've been, without a doubt. I think I think probably the best thing I could say, Wally, is almost to break it up because my first few years there was a lot of dual nationals in the program. So like
Yeah.
import guys that had British passport, but then there was some older Brits, which kind of helped shape me in who I kind of almost
Became
was.
yeah.
So like there was like Longstaff, Weaver, and Tate as an example. Those kind of the older British guys that were that generation really helped me in my first few years, like just to kind of come accustomed, giving me advice. And then it shifted to a really young team because there was no more dual nationals and it was a super young team. I remember one time in the Netherlands, to travel between the rink and the hotel, we got into a van and you couldn't even see in the back. There was no bus. We were just, because the money wasn't there, we
Yeah.
we got into the back of a van. It was super dark. You put your phone light on so you could see. Um, and then it shifted to when, like I said, Tomo took over, and then obviously subsequently Pete. That it was that all that group of core guys that started with that young group, if you like.
Oh,
But
from
yeah,
what you
some of the
guys
best memories
were,
are.
yeah, from what you guys were to like where they went, like for the guys that were on that ride, it's wild.
Yeah, because you look honestly, like when I think back of when we were in what was the equivalent of like perhaps the third division, you looked at some of the teams that are now in the second division, you're kind of, whoa, we're playing them. And now GB's at a point where it's like that whoa is like against Sweden, Canada, USA, whereas looking at you know, the Hungarians or Austrians, it's not a problem. You know what I mean?
Well, it's your
It's weird how
mindset.
that the mindset changes.
It does, and it has to change for you to be that, right?
Yes.
Canada always thought they're the best, which made them the best a lot of times because their mentality
True.
is we expect to win, right? And
Yes.
when you expect to lose, you're probably gonna
Absolutely right. It's never a true statement, and I love that statement.
it
If
is
you
true
you
though,
think you're
because
gonna
I
lose, you know
lived
you're
it,
gonna.
you know.
Yeah.
Western
Well,
Michigan, we weren't going into University of Michigan thinking we were winning, but the school does now, right? And they
yeah,
go
of
in there
course.
and expect to win now. And
Yeah,
it's a mindset, it's a culture, and
of course it is.
it's
Yeah,
hockey, it's your real life work, right? Like it's whatever you think you can do, you usually can do it better than if you don't think you can.
too true. Too true.
So I guess that's about all I got. It's we've been going at her for a while here
We
for the
have.
morning.
We
But
have.
you're a pretty busy boy. You're teaching university students, parent of two, and you have been playing hockey on top of that. So busy times, eh?
It is. Well, it's actually 33, 34 degrees. So I said to my kids, because they live with me in Worcester here in the countryside, and my parents have a nice countryside place where they've got like an annex onto the house, so it kind of accommodates us really well. And there's a garden that they've got with a trampoline. My brother bought this sprinkler thing that goes around the trampoline net around the top.
Oh
And
yeah, they'd love
the
that.
kids they love it, absolutely love it. So I said once I'd done, I said I was on a work call.
You're on a work
So I'm on a
call.
work
Now you
call.
got to get on the trampoline, eh?
Yeah,
You have
in
to
33-degree heat.
hey,
I'm like, oh
you're
God.
you know what though? If I had that body, I'd be getting topless on the trampoline too.
It doesn't really look like it much anymore though, Wally. So
Yeah, right. And
just
this
living in
has
the
been
past.
another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Dr. Cowley and Wally.